What's up, Spartan fans? Anthony Romo here with the head coach of the Boardman Spartans varsity football team, DJ Dota. DJ, thank you for joining us here tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, first things first, before we get into your week one matchup and a little bit of a recap, Friday night was your first game back on the sidelines as a head coach since 2018 when you were the head coach of West Branch. Just first things first, what was the feeling like getting back on the sidelines under the Friday night lights?
It felt good. It was a little bit, I was a little nervous, but excited to be back there. Around a lot of good coaches, a lot of good players, and just glad to be there and glad that Boardman gave me that opportunity.
So now going into the game, it was a very close 10-7 victory over Cardinal Mooney on Friday night. You guys scored 10 points in the last 6 minutes. That probably added on to the nerves a little bit more for you.
Yes.
But just first things first, just who were some standout performers for you guys on Friday night?
Up front, our whole offensive line, I mean, they did a great job all night. Mooney gave us a lot of different, looks. Coach Pelini, they do a great job with their defense. They were moving people all over the place, maybe giving you, lining up with 4, giving you 5, moving their D-line all over the place. He's coached at other levels that most of us haven't. So they gave us some fits, but I thought our O-line overall, all those guys up there, Caleb French, Conti, Terleski, I think what you had on earlier today, those guys did a great job of just being able to adjust up front with the different looks that they gave us. So, those guys did a great job up front, and then, at the end of the game, our running back, he didn't run like that in the first half, but in the second half, he really, he kicked it in. Fernando did a great job of, hitting seams. I think he felt better running downhill the way he did. He looked a lot better just running downhill. I think our quarterback made some better decisions as the game went on and on. Those guys all did a great job. I mean, we had players making plays all over the place, whether it was offense or defense or special teams. Jared Mahood had a great game for us defensively. Swanson, Aiden Berg had 2 interceptions. So, all over the place. We had, Isaiah Torres made, I don't know how many, probably had 7 or 8, quarterback pressures or a sack. So, we had guys all over the place stepping up, and then Austin Conkson at the end of the game kicking a field goal. Never in that situation ever before, as a junior, never kicking a field goal and makes that 32-yard kick. I mean, that's, a lot of things went well, and it was good just to see us being able to do it in a whole lot of different ways.
And then going back to the offensive line, which you had touched on, I think that it becomes more and more crucial the higher up you go in divisions, especially at high school football, that it's really a battle in the trenches. The lines are really what decide when you win and lose ball games. When you get to the lower division, sometimes you have some athletes that can really just stand out and move their way around the field. But just talk about how crucial it has to be for both your offensive and defensive line to be really a cohesive unit when you go up against some of the biggest people in the state.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be coached well on both sides of those balls. I mean, you can't just have good players. You got to be coached well. Those guys got to play together for one another. And that also comes with coaching and those guys developing that chemistry between each other, especially on the offensive line. I mean, our offensive line coach, Jake Zinni, is an ex-player of mine. He played at YSU. He was at South Range the last 2 years. He's had a lot of great influences in his life. It's great that he's coming back and coaching with us. At that point, I was at Girard the last 2 years. We coached against their offensive lines. Those guys are coached really well, and he's doing the same thing and developing that same mentality that they had there, but at a different and bigger level. So, it's just great to see those guys being able to adjust the things we handled from a scheme. And again, it does help because, 4 of those guys are back from last year and had playing time. That's huge.
And then going back to last Friday night's victory, it was obviously we've talked about it. It was a gritty victory. Youngstown area, people are known for their grit. That was a gritty victory. You guys battled all the way through and were able to come out on top. Being a first-year head coach and having that being your first game, what did a win like that tell you about your team?
That those guys are going to battle to the end, and I told them now you've set the precedence. You've raised your bar. Now you've set your bar. Now you got to be able to raise that each week, because we want to keep improving every week. So it felt really good to see a bunch of young men, that, again, they're on their 3rd head football coach in 3 years with this senior group. and they never stop battling. They never stop fighting. And they could easily not believe in stuff and not trust things. And I think they believed in our ways, and, they're coachable and taking coaching and believing the things we're telling them. And that's what you're probably most proud of, that, those young men, still haven't lost their ability to trust and believe in something and have faith in something bigger than themselves. So that was great to see.
And now looking forward, you have your home opener this week against a Chaney Cowboys team that had a huge statement victory in week 1 over the Poland Bulldogs by a score of 34-2. And also it's kind of a special game for your guys as well, because they're facing off against their former head coach and Seth Antrim. Just from your standpoint, just how exciting will it be to have a team like Chaney coming to Boardman this week, and you guys are going to have to give them your best shot?
Yeah. I mean, I told these guys last week, like, we're not going into a game, anybody that we play on our schedule, the type of schedule we play, we're going to have to bring our A game. And if you don't do that, you're going to put yourself in jeopardy not to win. And we talk about that, and we talk about us, and it's about, no disrespect to anybody we play, but at the end of the day, all we can control is us. We can't control who the other team has, how they coach, what they do. We can only control the things that we can control. And that's ourselves, about how we play, what we do and how we play it, and so, that's what we describe each week as we go on. And, we want to make sure that we get better each week, that we get opportunities, so that at week 10, we're playing our best football.
And I'm sure coming into this week, you talk about your guys having to control what you can control and obviously pay attention in the film room. And it's going to be a big scheme play this week. A lot of athletes on that Chaney team, especially Jason Hewlett, a guy I want to touch on. I'm sure Cincinnati commit, one of the biggest guys on the field week in, week out. How do you game plan as a coach against a guy that can play many different positions? He can play quarterback, he can play wide out. As a coach, how do you game plan against someone like that?
And again, I mean, we run our defense. We have alerts of where he is all over the place. Because I know last year he probably played a little bit of quarterback. He hasn't not yet this year, but potentially, I mean, he can do anything they want him to do. But we have to always be alert, where he is on the field. So he's somebody we worry about, but at the same time, I'll tell our guys, like, listen, we have to play our football. So we are who we are, and we have to line up, and that's kind of how I've been trained. We're going to play what we do, and we're alert to where he is, but at the same time, we defense is all about reaction. So react to what you see, not what you think, or where he is. Because at the end of the day, we still have to defend him and be conscious of him. And again, they got a couple good players on that offense, so we have to be on high alert and understand that they have really big play capabilities from both wide receivers that they have, and a quarterback can throw it out there and let it go. So, if he's lining up a quarterback, I think we're having a good alert of what's going on, I think, at least.
And then from your guys' standpoint, we talked a little bit about Chaney, talked about some of their threats on the offensive side. What do you think that the Boardman Spartans have to do this week, improving off of last week, to be able to come out on top this week? What are some things you think you guys have to improve upon?
Well, we've talked about it a few times. Like, we have, on offense, there's two things that we definitely need to do. We need to have better ball security. You just protecting the ball and making better decisions with the ball. That's a part of ball security. And then up front, we have to sustain blocks. I mean, those are two things that we know as a football team that we have to improve on. So we think that's very big in this football game, but it's also just big for us. Like, those are things we must improve on. Again, we can control those things, and that's two things that I don't think we did as well as we needed to. We did maybe in those last two series of that football game, but we didn't do it through all four quarters.
And then little things like sustaining blocks and making the right reads. Do you think those are just two things that come with you as the season goes on, as guys get more acclimated to playing time? Because obviously, as well as anyone, You can practice all you want in the summer, but when those lights come on Friday nights, it's a whole different game.
Well, it's a few things. Number one, they've had three different offenses and three different defenses and three different special teams in 3 years. We lose a week, because of the way they set the, double sessions. So you lose a couple days, and we talked, I think offensively at this point, there's a lot of teams just behind. I mean, I've already watched, 7 or 8 different teams play this year or scrimmage, and you can just tell you're always behind offensively, but I think more teams are even more so, because at this point right now, week 1 would have been your scrimmage. It would have been a jamboree type thing, and you probably wouldn't feel as bad as yourself. I mean, in all aspects. But I think at the end of the day, I think that we're only going to make more strides and improve because we know those things we need to improve on, and we're going to emphasize those things. And our job is to do those things better and better each week that we get opportunities on game nights.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you for joining us here. This was our first Boardman Spartans Coaches Corner of the 2022 high school football season. Coach Dota, thank you for joining us, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.